My name is Keith Swenson, and I'll be talking about DMN Technology Compatibility Kit, a valuable tool for vendors to show conformance with the DMN spec, as well as to give customers assurance that the vendors have followed the spec carefully. It all started way back at BPM Next in 2016. There was lots of discussions about decision model and notation. Perhaps it was the year for DMN. A lot of vendors were talking about support and planning support, but I sat down and I asked them a bunch of questions. Can you take a model from vendor A to vendor B? And unanimously, no. Can you enter a model in two different tools the same way? No, you can't necessarily. If you invest in DMN technology, is your investment protected? Again, no. The thing is, what's the point of a standard if everybody implements it differently? One of the problems is the standard's open for interpretation, but the other problem is that the barrier, the bar for conformance is so low that you could implement it with different kinds of formulas and different kinds of constructs. Now, from the way I see it, the promise of DMN is that a decision model can be reused elsewhere, that investments will be preserved, that people that are trained will return benefit, and the model decision will execute the same everywhere. Now, it can be tricky to launch a standard like this. The standards team puts out a document to the public, but that document needs to be interpreted. Sometimes some freely available support technology that implements and shows how the spec works can be the key to success. Now, it's all about running code. The paper doesn't count, but committees don't make running code, vendors do. So how to help the vendors conform to the spec? Make a test platform. This way vendors can demonstrate their capability and consumers gain assurance that they do. Now, the goal of the TCK is to define a set of test cases, to carefully assure conformance to the spec, to provide tools to run the test, and to recognize those vendors that do succeed. What we are not trying to do is to extend or enhance the DMN spec at all. The RTF's already doing that. We don't want to focus on esoteric, unimportant features, only features that exist in one or more implementations. And we don't want to favor any implementation over another. We want to remain technology neutral. Now, the engine is being tested as a black box. We know that all engines are in different environments, so we're providing files. There's files for the model, files for the data, in and out. And as long as the engine produces the correct results, we consider it passing the test. The DMN model is specified in the DMN spec interchange format, which is an XML-based model. We don't extend this. We use it exactly as the spec says it should be used. Now, for the input data, we need to specify a bunch of name-value pairs, and we created an XML format that's accessible to everybody. It's easy to read, and we have not created any new data types. We use the data types directly from the DMN model. Then the same thing with the expected results come in the same file. And you are to compare the expected results with what the engine produces. And for example, numeric value should be compared to 8 digits, things like that, so that you know when you've passed the test or not. Now, you'll need a runner to read the files, submit to the engine, and compare the results. Because of technical reasons, most vendors will have to implement their own runner. It's quite straightforward to do. But the TCK did create a Java-based runner. It's available for free, but it's not a requirement that you use that runner. The results, pass-fail results, are expressed as CSV files, and the vendors can send this back to the TCK for publishing on the shared website. So here's what it looks like all together. The TCK is focusing things on the bottom there, the models, the input data, the expected results, and these are all available, publicly available as files. The runner then takes these, whether you use ours or your own runner, that takes that, submits it to the engine, compares, and takes the results and brings the results back to the TCK, which then publishes them and makes them available so you can see which vendors are participating and which ones are actually conforming to the spec. Now, you can drill down. Here's what the spec looks like, what the website looks like. There's a bunch of categories. You can look at individual categories, see which tests are passing and failing in each category that's important to you, and it's also possible for a vendor to designate some files, some tests as being not appropriate for them for one reason or another, so consumers can drill down and see exactly which tests fall into which of those categories. So again, this is an incredibly powerful, incredibly useful tool for vendors to demonstrate their compliance to the standards, for files to help vendors test for errors and become compliant, and for customers to assess how compliant a vendor is. Thank you.